Fitness trackers are often described as measurement tools, but their true function is behavioral. They do not exist primarily to quantify the body. They exist to surface patterns that modern life has made invisible. Before fitness trackers, physical activity was embedded in daily survival. Movement was unavoidable. Walking, lifting, carrying, and manual labor were part of routine existence. Fitness was not a separate category. It was a byproduct of living. As work became more cognitive and environments more automated, movement decoupled from necessity. Physical effort became optional, scheduled, and often postponed. The body still changed in response, but those changes were subtle and cumulative. Weight shifted slowly. Endurance declined quietly. Fatigue became normalized. Traditional fitness culture responded by emphasizing workouts. Structured exercise sessions, gym memberships, and performance goals framed health as something you turned on for an hour and off for the rest of the day. Tools reflected this mindset. Stopwatches measured sessions. Machines measured output. Progress was defined by intensity. But most people did not fail at fitness because they avoided exercise. They failed because the rest of the day overwhelmed its effects. Fitness trackers emerged from this gap. Their core insight was not to measure effort, but to measure absence. How much time passed without movement? How often the heart rate stayed low? How frequently sleep was interrupted? Design constraints shaped their form. They had to be wearable all day, not just during exercise. They needed long battery life, passive sensing, and minimal interaction. A device that required frequent attention would not survive daily use. It had to disappear physically while remaining present cognitively. This explains the wrist. The wrist is socially acceptable, accessible, and visible enough to prompt awareness without demanding it. Displays are small by necessity. Large screens would invite distraction. Small screens encourage glances. Metrics were chosen not for medical completeness, but for interpretability. Steps are not a perfect measure of health, but they are intuitive. Heart rate trends communicate stress and recovery without explanation. Rings and streaks simplify complexity into progress signals the brain can recognize instantly. This introduces trade-offs. Reduction is inevitable. Health becomes numbers. Context is lost. Metrics can be gamed or misunderstood, but the alternative, no feedback at all, proved worse for many people. The moment of realization comes when you notice that fitness trackers rarely motivate intense workouts. Instead, they influence small decisions. Standing up, taking a longer route, going to bed earlier. These actions feel trivial in isolation, but compound quietly over time. Fitness trackers succeed because they operate in the background. They do not instruct constantly. They nudge, they remind, they reflect patterns back to the user without judgment. The data feels neutral, even when it's uncomfortable. Human behavior shapes every aspect of this design. People resist commands but respond to mirrors. They avoid guilt but accept information. A tracker that shamed users would be abandoned. One that calmly reports reality is tolerated, even trusted. Sleep tracking reveals this most clearly. Sleep was once considered subjective. You slept or you didn't. Trackers reframed sleep as a measurable behavior, influenced by routine, stress, and environment. By making sleep visible, they elevated its importance without preaching. Fitness trackers also changed the definition of success. Instead of chasing idealized fitness, users began chasing consistency. Closing rings, maintaining streaks, showing up daily. This reframing aligns with how habits actually form. The device does not improve health directly. It changes perception. It shortens the feedback loop between action and consequence. Instead of waiting months to feel different, users see patterns emerge within days. This is the invisible design at work. The tracker is not built around physiology alone. It is built around attention scarcity, motivation fatigue, and imperfect memory. It exists because modern life separated cause from effect, and people needed a bridge between the two. When a fitness tracker works well, it doesn't make you fitter overnight. It makes you slightly more aware, repeatedly. And over time, that awareness becomes behavior. That is why the device looks the way it does. Small, constant, quiet. A reminder that the hardest part of health was never effort. It was noticing what was happening while you were busy living.